Hello, my name is Claire Alvarez, and I recently got an intern. Hi, my name is Claire Alvarez, and I'm going to talk about my animal science experience for at Veterinary Medical Park. I started there. Hello, my name is Claire Alvarez, and I'm going to be talking about my animal science experience at Veterinary Medical Park. I was a student assistant. I am now a student animal care supervisor, which is the next step up, and I am really grateful for this opportunity. Hello, my name is Claire Alvarez, and I'm going to be talking about my animal science experience at Veterinary Medical Park. I started as a student assistant, and now I am a student supervisor, and I am very grateful for this opportunity at A&M. So at Veterinary Medical Park, it is a park of 185 acres, those of which are split between pastures as well as concrete pens and horse pens and animal pens. We raise cattle, horses, goats, and pigs. They are for research purposes, and that's why I'm going to use mainly pictures that are on their website since we are not allowed to take pictures per AFLAC regulations. We are focused in mainly animal breeding as well as research, but we do produce our own foals. We have a calving and a goat kidding season, and we also are working cattle every so often whenever they need to be worked, either with vaccines or with just daily tag and checkup cleanings. Our duties include helping the horse farrier. There is a horse farrier that comes along, and we do hold horses for him, and we do groom and sometimes grab his supplies while he is working on the horse's feet. We are also a pig-centered facility. We do research on a lot of pigs, and pigs are probably the most dominant species at Veterinary Medical Park. In horse foaling, there is a lot of technicalities that go in it. We are sometimes required to help a horse that has trouble foaling at in the middle of the night, and we are not forced to help, but it is a good learning experience. There was a horse that had unfortunately a dummy foal, and we were in charge of going in the middle of the night, giving it fluids, milking mom, making sure that the baby and the mom were okay. And I think that is a great animal experience to have. Activities, duties, and interactions at Veterinary Medical Park. I did start as a student assistant, and my roles were to get there either at 7 or 8 a.m. I would feed animals upon arrival, which included animals that have gotten out of surgery or animals that were going into a procedure that morning. I would feed them, and then if they were not having a procedure done, then I would go ahead and clean their pens. We do a lot of water-based cleaning. We don't do a lot of soap or a bleach cleaning for the pens since we want to keep it animal safe. We clean the pens once they are finished eating, and after that, we also keep notes on animal behavior such as the appetite, the stool, the temperature, respiration, and heart rate, which are TPRs that we are also responsible of getting whenever an animal is feeling abnormal or if there are signs of sickness. And at my workplace, I worked directly under a student manager, and the student manager worked under the park manager, and the park manager was in charge of hiring and recruiting, and that is how I got the position. There are also at least 7 or 8 more students on the park and more student assistants on the park, and I did interact with the other students, and our duties were often shared as in prepping pastures by adding feeders such as goat feeders, cattle troughs, horse troughs for food, because we do a rotational pasture system. And whenever a pasture is very low on grass or very dull and not and there's not enough nutrient-rich grass, we do have to supplement in other ways, such as cattle cubes or more feed in their system. And during the winter, whenever there is less nutrient dense grasses, we do give animals hay, such as brown bales. And I did get tractor trained at veterinary medical park, so I am learning how to put out round bills with the tractor. More activities and duties and interactions. As an assistant, I also got to learn how to help with animal medical procedures. This is not normally in line with the normal student duties. We are more of the animal care side. However, we do have the opportunity to learn with the techs and just to see what they do. And I can move my screen so that you see there is a goat that they are doing a TPR on. And in one of the procedures that I assisted in, I was in the OR helping with during a photosensitive melanoma light treatment, which a scientist called Dr. Bagnotto is over, and we are in charge of making sure that their pigs are okay, ensuring that their pigs have the proper biosecurity, such as making sure we wear gloves, boot covers, and so that no bacteria will get in their melanoma since they're actively being treated. And since it is a photolight sensitive therapy, we are not allowed to use lights during certain times of the day. So we are in charge of making sure that that's being followed as well. And other duties and interactions that I have been in, as far as in the more animal health side, would be just making sure that the animals have good pulse and oxygen intake whenever they are under, and it would usually be under more simpler procedures, such as if an animal got impacted by a wire or if they got a laceration by a foreign hazard or a hazard in their pasture. We also have to keep an eye out for that, making sure that the animals are not in danger in their pastures, making sure that there's no sharp objects, and making sure there's no holes that they may get stuck in as well. Other activities on a rare occasion would be to help transport animals to the sale barn. I did learn how to drive a tractor or how to drive a trailer and how to navigate a big trailer in such small areas. And we also were sometimes in charge of giving sick animals intramuscular and subcutaneous injections. This was more on the emergent side whenever there was an animal that got brought up for an emergency and we had to come in at the middle of the night at odd times to either flush a catheter or give them more steroid injections or any antibiotics that they might need. For my outcomes and discussions at Veterinary Medical Park, I got the chance to grow in many skills such as animal husbandry. There, I learned the proper animal restraining, proper feeding and supplementing. I got explained how to properly supplement cattle and calves that we were going to sell, making sure that they got fed appropriately. And I know, and there's sometimes cattle won't eat if they are too full, but there are ways around that to make sure that they meet weight for the sale and for what we want to sell them at. Biosecurity standard operating procedures, SOP. We learn how to dress and undress in the proper order to keep sterile and biosafety, to keep sterile environments in the biosafety area. Record keeping, that veterinary medical park is really big on record keeping. We have to know what an animal gets. We have to know what an animal does, making sure that there's no abnormalities. And I have also learned the proper injection sites for animals such as cattle and horses as well. They aren't food animals necessarily, but there are certain places to give injections to horses that you should not give otherwise. And as far as animal science concepts that I have learned, whenever we work cattle and we deworm and we vaccinate and We don't usually castrate the first working, but we do for our cows. We do cedar injection or cedars, implant cedars to encourage estrus synchronization. And since we do want to have a constant breeding season, we do have to go ahead and do that and make sure that cows don't pop them out. We are taught how to look to make sure that they don't have a cedar missing. And if we do, then we have to locate it and just report it and make sure that she gets a cedar implanted again. I took an equine course, and whenever it is breeding season, usually through February and March, or February through April, there are lots of horses and animals being born at the park, and I took what I learned from my equine course to veterinary medical park, and I know the signs of if a horse is about to colic during birth or if the foal is not getting enough air in the right timely manner than to let somebody know and how to help if that happens. For the sheep and goats that we have on the park, some of them do need to be halter broken, and with my animal handling skills that I learned from one of my courses, I think that I did a pretty good job halter breaking the sheep and goats that we have up there. And then these are my references, and that is it. Thank you for watching my presentation, and I hope it was interesting.